See the part number? Let's talk about this. Okay. Now, I'll show you what I got. Is this. This is what I was sold. And it says, made in India for a 5.3 truck. And this. But I was also sold this for an early 90s truck. Now look, I don't know, as I told people my disclaimer, the world is different in other places other than here. But I have a theory about AI. Now let me tell you where I'm going with this. Okay? The world is full of stupid people. All of them just can't be here. I believe this is being done to us deliberate. You see, please tolerate if we have a soft breeze here in the mic on this camera. I don't have it covered, but I think this is being done deliberate. In my mind, it has to be. Lowe's went to AI. I bought another dryer. My dryer blew up. The day before I had my accident with the tractor. That was another reason why I was bedraggled, having to hang laundry up all over like a gypsy camp. This is being done deliberate in my mind. I hate AI. You can't possibly sell the same fucking parts for a 5.7 truck when it's right on there. It's not even for a 5.7 truck. This has no application. And my other argument is I am making enemies at these parts stores because I insist on Felpro gaskets. I don't have 155% 0.3 satisfaction rate with them, but they're still the better gasket, and normally their applications are true and correct. I deliberately believe they're hiring stupid people so they can go to like an all AI service type of counter. That's what's in the back of my mind. Okay? So let me tell you about my weekend shopping experience. My dryer is going to be here maybe tomorrow, maybe Wednesday, maybe Thursday. You see, this is how fucking retail America works. Once they become and shut out everything else, anywhere else to go shop and buy anything, then they start shitting all over the customer. So my weekend shopping experience is, that's my time. I'll usually take 1 day or 2 days a week and dedicate it to getting something fixed. But if you can't get the right parts, I can't get my stuff fixed. I took a set of headers, Advanced Auto, AutoZone. I took a set of headers over. I said, I need to get some gasket, the manifold gaskets. You have to use these flange gaskets, the O-ring type pipe ring gaskets, in some header applications. And I don't care if it's Doug's, Headers, Kooks. A lot of them don't have the factory ball for this ring. They just have 2 ports, and a lot of times you can put a gasket in between there and use a collector. But if you're going to go with like a factory bolt up, I make all thread. I don't use the bolts that come with the kits. I throw them away. I save them for other projects. And normally they're crap steel anyway. So I get a nice stainless steel is what I make my bolts out of for my bolt ups. So I walk in with the header. Dumb bitch at the counter. Young girl. What's it for? I'm already ready to reach over the counter and strangle her. I said, I want to match up, okay, and get some O-ring flange gaskets for these headers. Yeah, but what's it for? I told her, I said, if you don't get somebody else here, I'm coming over the counter after you. And the next bastard after her was just as stupid. What's it for? I said, it's for a custom engine application. I want to make sure this part, the other one's open. This metal part, the way these are installed, usually go inside your manifold or your header, that metal part. This goes down into the pipe. So, finally, my buddy that works at the Advance there, he comes to the rescue. Why are you getting so ass? I said, well, you stupid. I said, I have headers here. I said, I wanted them either to take the header or I want to go back there and match up and get some, oh, well, I don't think we have any. To me, it's proving they're stupid and they're lazy. Not to mention they're overpriced what I paid for those parts. And just to show you guys that this was a recent purchase. Let me find out where the date is so I can show it to you. Delivery. Where's the date? Invoice, time, it has the time. There's the date right there. Okay, so this is recent. This isn't, I don't make up these things just to aggravate people and go on YouTube and rant or whatever. My rants are solid. There's solid evidence of the stupidity. And I never, I don't accept gaskets that were made in India. Okay? Here it is. Okay? And that's what I told them. There's another place they mix paint, and I always want the Omni Plus if I can get it. But I'm not even getting proper color matches now anymore. And in my mind, I think this is being done to bring AI. And AI is a slap in my face with all the Americans, disabled veterans out of work. And I've been saying that for years on my videos. But I'm serious. Lowe's, Advanced Auto Parts, okay, AutoZone, even Napa now, they're getting sleazy. They're hiring the dumbest, cheapest bastards they can find, and they're lazy too. They belong on welfare. They don't belong behind the counter, and if they certainly have no knowledge of an application or anything or any other fortitude. Now, I understand there's thousands of models of cars and trucks. I should keep a little better parts records. I'm going to start doing that, but I never thought this would turn into an epidemic type of crisis with this. I thought you would still be able to walk in, buy the same parts, but it's not that way, because let me give you another example. Hey, what auto parts do I tell people I loathe? What name? There it is. That's the high side for my truck. I have no AC for 2 weeks now. They don't know what the low side is. They can't find a listing. Well, another guy found it. I have to go get it in Lehighton, maybe Wednesday. Right now, I got to get these rockers on this Ford before this weather moves in. I used to be able to buy a kit for those trucks. It had the orifice tube. It had these, and you could buy it. And I saw a video. A guy got it somewhere, Amazon or something like that. I necessarily like a parts record, and I like part numbers. And when it's Chinese and it comes, there's no part number, and then you got to go hunt. There's plenty of times, and you know it too, like I do. You search on eBay, Fleabay, Scamazon there. You see it 1 minute. You even go back through your recently viewed parts, and it disappears. You can't find it again. But it was really what you wanted. But you see the part, and then you've got to research it, either here or call somebody else. Hey, did you use this or what? The other problem is with me, just this past 2 years, 3 of my closest allies that work on this stuff, the Orange Menaces here, where I could get some information or relative information, they had some catalogs. See, I was going in Iraq and they were throwing all the catalogs away, the old books and stuff with the part numbers, where you could be. Well, that's why I said, I think they were trying to make this AI and force it down people's throats. Because they wouldn't even let you dig in their dumpsters to get their catalogs. They just, no, you can't have them. We're going to all computers. Well, I loathe the day, and that's why I treat them like shit, and that's why I abuse them. I'm not naturally like that, to abuse somebody, but I think they deserve it. Because they were the dumb bastards that threw all the catalogs into paper records. Because even if it's an old part number, usually another part number supersedes it if you work on it hard enough. So I didn't have that luxury, and I really don't have the space to hoard a bunch of catalogs that might be useful. Now, that's one of the reasons why I stick with one brand, is those, the Silverado trucks. I never had a bad run in Chevy. I never did. All my trucks, all my GM trucks, they just continually kick ass year after year. You start up this Ford I'm working on, It goes. It sounds like a bunch of pinballs rolling around in a metal drum. I don't want to drive nothing like that. When I start my GM trucks up, it's boom, and then they idle down. You drop them in gear, and you go where you want to. And even when the trucks and the check engine lights come on in the GM truck, they don't shut the whole goddamn truck off on you. AI, you don't want it, people. And tell our government and it's about time. I'm going to start calling my legislators about this, because if you can't pay your bills and you can't even fix your own goddamn truck on your day off, because that's the other kick in the pants, is when you walk in there, they don't have it. The Chevy Silverado is the leading selling truck in America. It's been the most popular truck in America. They don't even have a goddamn part for them. Or they got one of this, and as I said, I walk in there, they got one of these, two of those, a half dozen of them, but just not what you need. Oh my God. Here, for these 99 and up, 5.3, 4.8, 6.0, you got to drive with the Jake brake on level ground with an empty trailer. What a half-wit. That's your part number for your EGR gasket. Remember what I told you about this heat transfers. This is what tells your EGR, your fuel system, and everything else how to work correctly. When you use those Chinese gaskets, those metal ones, or the malleable ones, the malleable asbestos, if you cut them or you shave them apart, they don't have that silver heat transfer. If you ever took a Felpro, one of these Felpro gaskets, this one's even dimpled. You can see it has the heat transfer. It's real thin. On the inside, those holes are through if you ever get the gasket separated. But it's not meant to be through. That's why there's a coating on it. But it transfers the heat so that your system is optimizing and dropping the right amount of fuel, especially when you punch that pedal. Because I've noticed from EGR gasket to EGR gasket, okay, if you experiment with them like I did, okay, you're going to find out that you have a flat spot, especially between 40 mile an hour and 50 mile an hour. You're going to have to shove that pedal. When you put the Felpro gasket on, that doesn't happen. You get the right amount of fuel dropping and the right response out of the engine. I'm just telling you. Or you're going to run with like a miss or a lope. That's because you're not getting the right heat transfer, and you're running on the lean side. So that's why you're having to push your pedal. I'm watching my cat. He's caught some sort of bug and he's having a hell of a time. Yeah, would you like some party favors and maybe a beer? What a cat. Anyway, that's why you're getting that flat spot. You might get a new EGR. It starts up, it runs, it idles, and you don't really have a miss or anything. I'm talking about you're going to have like a dead spot in your pedal. If not, you're going to have a lope to the engine, like you have a miss at mid-range. That's because of this. You don't have the right gasket on there. And how I found that out? Well, modern Chevy, those guys out there, they know their GM trucks better than I do. I hate to admit it. I know these trucks, but I don't think there's been a day going by that I don't learn something. But that's when you want to be somebody sharp in an industry and you want to sell somebody something, you better know what you're doing. Because like an older guy, older people today even aren't like the older people. If your truck didn't run the way it was supposed to when you pulled it out of a garage, it went right back in the old days. Nowadays, ain't nothing we can do. It's probably a sensor. They got 1,000 excuses to let your truck the way it is with cheap parts or just off-brand garbage from India, China in your truck. It's a feather in Felpro's cap, but as I said, that Valley Pan gasket for my Ford here, that my son and I were collectors. These are our trucks, and I make all the decisions because I'm the guy that works on it. They make the money. They help me, with the projects, and they get a little bit of prestige to drive around. But all in all, when you have failing gaskets and stuff that you can't depend on, and everything comes from China, not everything that shines and glitters is gold. Remember what I said, people are more like crows. If it's shiny, China's going to sell it to you, especially if it's shiny. Are you going to buy the chrome EGR valve that looks real cool, Or are you going to buy the flat black one that actually works? Well, you're going to have some tough decisions in your own life that you're going to have to learn about these parts and places not to buy your parts. Now, a lot of the parts at AutoZone Advanced, they work pretty good. I used to prefer AutoZone for alternators and starters, but not of lately, and especially Advanced. It's all made in China. It's all off-brand, unbranded crap. There's no specs in the box. There's no instruction sheets. If the part's an updated part, say it's made a little differently, and it looks differently, or it's to be installed differently, there's nothing in the fucking box. You're supposed to guess. How am I supposed to know that part fits the truck? And I know they get a lot of those parts back. People destroy them because they don't know. There's no application in the box. Remember, they're going to make AI necessary. I see a lot of companies now, they give you that little watermark thing that you click with your camera, and that brings up all the instructions. Well, suppose you're working flat rate. Suppose you're working on your own truck and you got to go to work tomorrow. You want to open up all that bullshit and read all that lawyer, don't do this, don't do that. It's not the way to sell auto parts. They really destroyed our retail and our wholesale, our automotive industry. They've just totally destroyed it with Chinese crap and their AI propaganda that AI is the future. AI is the losing game, especially if it's installed in your automobile, under the hood of your car. It's making you a loser. And you are a chump for buying a truck full of it. Because they ought to pull all that bullshit out, make a central computer if it has a sensor. Hey, I agree with computer, what they used to call it, back in my day, we referred to it as a computer-matic progressive fuel injection. Nowadays, they got 100 other names for the same thing, okay? But it was a computerized, sensor-based fuel injection, temperature. Mainly temperature is what would control your fuel injection. That Velcro gasket again. The temperature. That EGR valve controls everything about that engine. Everything about a fuel injected engine. Because this radiates and tells the temperature. Okay? Then you have your mass airflow and your map sensor. Your mass airflow is the next, because that tells the engine how much volume of air to take in. And it can limit and trim the fuel system back, but not without this. That's a lot to take in. It's a lot of, what do you call it? Some of what I'm telling you is oblique unless you research it. But once you look up what I'm telling you, you know it's the truth, and you can research it a little deeper. But this is one thing, when these gaskets and stuff, they're selling you some Chinese shit, and people are going to buy it. It's $3. Say it's $2 to $3 cheaper, or $10 to $20 cheaper to buy the Chinese shit. I'd still rather have this. And I really would like them to be more competitive with China. Start doing with China, Velcro, and every other American company that still exists. Start doing to China what China did to us and undersell them. It's going to hurt your employees. It's going to hurt your stockholders. I know that. Start knocking China out of the box. Okay? Thanks for watching my videos. I have work to do on this man's truck. I should be doing something other than doing YouTube. But I think it's an important message to understand before I upload my next 2 videos, that people understand there is some relevancy to a quality product. People know the general, how could I say, the layman's, that, you need the better product, but can I get away with this? People have been doing that for a long time, and now the only person you're cheating is yourself. You're not saving anything. Trust me, because I learned this the hard way. Okay? Thanks for watching my videos, guys.